Okay, so I want to first just welcome everyone and thank you so much for coming to this. I know this has been a rough year and we've all spent way too much time on our computers and, probably getting a little Zoom fatigue. So I'm really touched that you could take a little time out for this. And I do promise I'll be very brief about this. If I have my way, we'll be out of here in like 10 to 15 minutes. Um, but First of all, let's continue to build on what was just asked. First of all, we know that the result was not what we hoped for, but given the district's demography and its history, I do want to underscore just how monumentally well this actually did go, as a way of giving us a sense of hope about how things are changing and where we're going. The total votes racked up here exceeded the best previous Democratic vote total by more than 53,000, which is more than half again the best showing. I mean, it's a huge, huge difference. And some of that went down to Trump and people wanting to come out and, sort of a referendum on Trump there, especially some of the conservative and Republican votes that we got. But not all of them even would have come to us. So we did do some good work with outreach, although the polarization in the country as a whole really does make that difficult. And you can see that in the margin that shot up there. But I guess most remarkable of all for me in terms of the totals was the fact that by far our largest voting bloc were 18 to 24-year-olds, which usually have the lowest voting participation. And many of them were registered independents who had never voted or seldom voted. A lot of them told us directly that they were not terribly excited about the whole Trump Biden fight, but the chance to vote for a progressive representative who cared about their lives was exciting. And that I think is gratifying. But, alas, Trump being on the ballot drew out every last GOP vote. And that ultimately helped Ken over the finish line. We had an 85% turnout rate, which is 20 points higher than the last few presidential year contests. So Ken broke his own vote total margin record by a wide margin there. But it's really only people coming out for that made the difference. So if we think about the future and about midterms, I think it's worth noting that the total was much higher than Ken got in any prior presidential year, which means it was higher than our actual win number. That includes 2016, to say nothing of the far lower midterm numbers he usually gets. So if the Democrats can keep that youth vote energized and get them to send in a ballot next time, things could be very different. So I guess just to sum up there, in this whole groundwork part, although the result is not what we'd hope for, obviously, it's nothing short of remarkable for an R+9 district that wasn't on anyone's radar nationally. And I do owe all of that to all of you and to everyone that helped out here. This was very much a team effort, and our showing is a kind of victory in itself, as we greatly exceeded expectations, and given especially the pandemic and budget constraints and the fact that we couldn't be out there, knocking doors and all the rest. So to that end, I want to move into the thank yous part of this and note that the Democratic clubs, the civil society groups, the social media associations, hundreds of volunteers who ran phone banks and text banks, and 36 core team members, they all poured blood, sweat, and tears into this. And they and all of you, they're the real heroes of this whole struggle. And of course, I'd love to thank as many people for that as I could directly, but obviously I can't do it all individually here. I'd be talking for a few hours and bore everyone to tears. And I'm hardly wealthy. Outside, I've sent gifts to literally everyone, but I did send out 43 gift cards, and I hope that those go some small way to showing some appreciation. But if you didn't get one, please, please, please do not think that I do not love and appreciate you as well, and know that I'll be looking for a way to thank you again as opportunity permits. And I guess as small and inadequate as the gesture may seem, especially to me, given I want to do so much more, I did feel the need to send something out to some of our top volunteers, the people who put in a lot of hours sending out text messages and making calls and maintaining records and the like, and to our dedicated staffers who likewise put in endless hours in meetings, organizing, doing outreach work with me and all that. But I do want to take I want to take a couple of minutes here and just acknowledge some people by name for their generosity and support over the past 2 years. Most of whom are, of course, not actually directly here, but that's understandable. And I hope you can indulge me for a few minutes to do that and make some direct dedications. And then I'll post a video of this afterwards, and hopefully more will see it and feel something from that, because I really the gratitude is really heartfelt for me. I want to start at the very beginning with Michelle, Bridget, Maya, Julie, and Rajan. Y'all were there with me at the very beginning when I was bloody awful at this. But you saw some hint of potential and offered to help. And for that, I'm immensely grateful. Bridget and Maya in particular deserve endless praise for helping to take a socially awkward neophyte with a beard down to his navel at the time through to formal endorsement by the largest Democratic Party in the country. If this had gone no farther, that would already be one heck of an accomplishment. But they also put up with me in close quarters for almost a year during the most stressful part of the campaign for me, and doing nearly everything that a larger staff would do. I cannot even begin to express the depth of my admiration for that. Okay, moving forward. Jim put in a lot of hours building one of the best political sites of the entire 2020 cycle and fielded technical questions from me and the team at all hours of day and night. So mad respect, lad. Steve and Bill both took time to meet with me over coffee on multiple occasions, drawing on their experience and vast knowledge for politics in this area, for the election process, campaigning, and so on. The Democratic clubs in the area welcomed me with open arms and helped take me from a green newcomer who couldn't keep track of time in a speech without holding his notes up to a seasoned interviewee and speaker, and introduced me to a whole world of activism in Riverside County. Obviously, I cannot acknowledge everyone there, but the clubs do deserve a direct shout out, and as do some others in the county party. So to start with, I guess, thanks to Gail, John, Belinda, Steve, Fazia, Yusuf, Don, and everyone at the Democrats of Corona Norco. Thanks to Tammy, Jenny, Nancy, Skylar, Lainey, Allison, Mary Jo, Stephen, and the whole Temecula Valley Democrats. Thanks to Jorge and Spencer and Greg and Suji and Constance and Fran and Denise and Greta and all the other great people at the Democrats of Southwest Riverside. Thanks to Annie and Mark and Chuck and Julie and Judy and the Eleanor Roosevelt Democratic Club. Thanks to Joey, Vanessa, Marvin, Brian, and the Field of Burn crew. Thanks to, a really special thanks to Tiza, and then to Lanny and Aggie and Lisa and Travis and Maha and Michael, and really the whole Riverside County Democratic Party. And thanks to my fellow candidates, so with many of whom I got to work very closely with across this, like Liz and Kate and Joy and Edison and Abigail and Courtney and Jerry and Melissa, Meg, Chris, everyone there. And to our local elected officials like Tim, Jackie, Sabrina, Eloise, and Mark Takano. And there are, of course, so many other people and even other clubs who opened their doors. And well, I did promise to keep this as a thank you as brief as I could, but I do think I need to make a special thank you also to the many national and statewide progressive organizations who embraced me, like Marianne Williamson, Gail McLaughlin, and the California Progressive Alliance, Howie Klein and Blue America, Alan and everyone at PDA, Andrew Yang and Humanity Forward, Kalika Siegel and the National Organization for Women, and many, many more. And also some prominent House members who backed my campaign, like Ted Lieu or Brad Sherman. So many, many thanks to all. Now, certainly too, the many thousands of donors who dug into their wallet and helped out deserve some kind of special mention, but outing everyone here wouldn't seem fair, even if I was going to take hours to do it. But know that you're very special to me, and I invited as many of you as I could, or as many as my texting thumbs could handle before falling off. But I want to, I guess, wind down the whole like naming people part of this thing by acknowledging some of the amazing phone bankers and text bankers and then some of the core team members who got us through 2020. For all of your hours and your efforts, my sincere gratitude to Betty and Jim and Heather and Liam and Bonnie and Dean and Jack and Angelina and Yang and Sarah and Carter and Lauren and Samuel and Ronald and John and Karen and Bryant and Jordan and Mark and Robert and Jory and Khwaja. Thanks to Joe and to Christopher for helping to steer the campaign through a tumultuous primary challenge earlier in the year and into the general election. Thanks to Francisco and Angela and Faraz and Kelly for helping us transition into a pandemic-friendly digital campaign since so many of our initial plans had to be tossed out. Thanks to Safi and the whole crew at Climate Change Couch Potato for their amazing video content, which helped so much to increase that youth voter turnout that made a difference for us and to shake things up overall. And thanks to some of the participants in those videos like Ray and Bill and Lisa and Jorge and Vanessa and Nancy. And thanks to our core team members, the folks who took us over that November finish line. Each and every one of you are rock stars in my eyes, and working with you has been the greatest honor of my life. So thanks to Jessica, to Colin, to Mortaza, to Elizabeth, to Ben and Vivian and Mia and Julia, and to both Brandons, and to Cal and to Jim and to Bill and to Isabel and Galit and Alexandra, to Jacob, to Lyra, to Bushra, to Edison. And finally, I want to thank my campaign manager, Nathan, for taking the helm at a very challenging moment and steering this ship through the last stretch and into the single biggest finish for a Democrat in the history of the 42nd. So hats off to you, my friend. Looking forward, I want to close on just a quick optimistic tone, I guess, because 2020 was an election cycle for the history books, with a neo-fascist in the White House, with a fractious primary, with a global pandemic and an economic collapse that hurt millions of American families. Contrary to many liberal expectations, Trump and Trumpism remain very popular in the country. And rather than seeing expected gains, the Democratic Congress lost 9 seats. But all of these were so-called centrist candidates. And meanwhile, the squad doubled in strength, and progressive challengers in red districts like ours outperformed many centrists in similar ones. So to me, the national lessons are clear. In an era of populist agitation from the right, we need to answer the challenge from the left. Trump will not be on the ballot in 2022, but a progressive message of change must be. And in addition, as some of you know, redistricting should help the Inland Empire, and Riverside County may gain an additional seat. So while 2020 may not have been as rosy as we could have hoped, the future looks brighter than you might think. And so much of the credit for this change is thanks to all of you. So for all that you've done, thank you for making this whole experience such a positive one, and for giving us hope that Southwest Riverside County can do better than can. So thank you.